welcome back. This is Psychbass, and instead of lecturing at you for this part of the podcast, I have a friend with me. His name is Dobro, so say hi, Dobro.
Hi, I'm Dobro.
And we're going to do a role play where he's actually going to insult me, and I'm going to respond in a couple of different ways, and then we're going to ask him how he felt about how I responded. The purpose of this is really to show that who has the power in negative interactions that bronies may sometimes experience in their real life and possibly online. This technique is not mine. It's a technique that I took from a man by the name of Israel Kalman. He's a sociologist, a social worker, actually. And if you like this technique, which is a very good technique, he has a book on it, which I will put up, and definitely go support his work because it's good stuff. Dobro and I have not practiced this. We're going to go completely off the cuff, and he does not know how I'm going to respond to his insults. I'm going to respond in two different ways. The first time we'll go through 3 insults, and I'm going to respond in a certain way. We'll talk about how he felt, and then we'll have him insult me again with the same insult, and I'll respond differently. And then we'll talk about how he felt during that interaction. So, all right, Dobro, please feel free to insult away.
You like My Little Pony, don't you, you fag?
I'm not a fag, you're a jerk. I know, I like girls, I like lots of girls. I'm even gonna do your mom, you asshole. I'm gonna come to your house and kick your butt, jerk. How about the second one? He's actually looking at me right now like I've just scared the hell out of him. So.
You watch My Little Pony because you're really a girl, aren't you?
I'm not a girl. I am 6'3". I'm huge. I could take you outside right now. I'm going to defend my honor against you. How dare you insult me? How dare you and call me a girl? That's not okay at all, you jerk. Let's go do this, bro.
That's Dobro to you. Well, I bet you watch My Little Pony because you're into little kids, you pervert.
What kind of jerk? That's awful. That's disgusting. You're a sick piece of crap. Tell me that I like kids. What's wrong with you? I bet you like little kids. Why don't you go outside and you do something awful with a kid, you jerk? That's gross. I would never, ever, ever do anything like that. I'm a good Christian boy.
I don't even know how to respond to these because this whole thing doesn't make any sense to me. I felt really weird writing all of these. I feel really weird saying these things.
It's because you're actually a really good person. You're a good guy, and you would never say something like this in real life to somebody because you're not a jerk. The important thing to remember about bullies is that they're human beings too, and at some level they're capable of feeling that same level of guilt about saying the things that they did, unless they're a sociopath, which is relatively rare. It's about 1 out of 25 people. So I can understand why you feel bad doing this. Like, how did you feel bad about it?
I mean, you seemed hurt. I don't want to do that to someone. I'm also not a kid who's bullying. I mean, I don't know what the motivations behind kids who are bullies are. Mm-hmm. But you seemed hurt. You seemed very aggressive. I actually don't really like it when people are aggressive toward me. So
no. And how did you feel like you wanted to get closer to me or get the hell away from me?
I felt like I wanted to leave the room.
Yeah.
Is that also the case with bullies?
Sometimes, if they get aggressive back, you don't feel like you want to interact with me. Did you feel like, because I know that you're not a violent person at all, was any part of you wanting to engage back and wanting to engage in this fight and make it bigger?
No part of me was.
That's good.
Bullies might, right?
So yeah.
They might. I would think that if you said something like that to the bully, they might want to take the fight to the next level. They might punch you in the stomach or something like that.
Because at that point they know that it's on, that it's escalated, that it's getting awful. One of the things I want to point out is that from my point of view, I felt like I was defending my honor. I felt like I was standing up for myself. I felt like I was doing all the things that we're taught to do to defend ourselves. But it didn't really work. It didn't really make the interaction go very well at all. Did you respect me, or did you have negative feelings about me as I'm attacking you and getting aggressive and...
Well, somebody attacks me. My instinct generally is to leave, personally.
To run away.
To not engage them.
Yeah, which is perfect.
Because people look for fights sometimes, and if somebody's looking for a fight, I'm not looking to engage them in that fight. I don't really want I don't really want that in my life. However, a bully might be looking for a fight. That's the entire thing with bullying, right?
Absolutely. They're trying to get a reaction out of you that is what they expect. They expect you to react like I did, to fight back, because then they can let their aggressions out on you, and they realize that they've got you. Some people actually find it enjoyable to pick on people and rile them up. It's the same kind of the schadenfreude that we get when we see waitresses drop their dishes sometimes. We feel like, oh, at least it's not me. So the bullies sometimes will feel better if you're angry at them, because then everything, they feel like they're in control, they feel like they've got power over you, and they feel really good about it. So it's not an effective strategy to rile them back up.
Also, if I were that bully, I might feel like if I were maybe a bigger kid and you were a smaller kid, which is not true in real life for those listening, but I might feel wrong just hitting you, but maybe I wanted to get you mad to get me to the point where I felt right hitting you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you push back and we really engage each other in an altercation, then I can feel like I get to physically beat up on you. So if this were a schoolyard thing, I would think that would give me
That's a really important
license.
point, which is you just said that you wanted to feel justified in hitting me. And we talked about earlier in the podcast that bullies, for the most part, they don't feel like bullies. They feel like victims. They feel like they're justified in defending themselves to other people, or that they get attacked by life in some way. They're going to take it on somebody else. So that justification is really important. And by getting me angry, you then have a license to get aggressive back with me. So let's try a different way. What I'd like you to do is to do the same insults to me. I'm going to respond differently, and I want to see how you respond to how I respond differently. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay.
You like My Little Pony because you're a faggot.
I do like My Little Pony. I think that my wife might be upset if I was a fag. She'd feel kind of lonely. So obviously not a fag, but I do like the show, and I kind of enjoyed it. I'm curious as to why you think that only fags would like that show. Is it something that, what makes you think that? And I fully admit that watching the show is weird. I totally get that. I thought it was weird too when I first saw it. But you said that it was something like that only gay people would do. What makes you think that?
Well, it's just weird. It's just weird. I mean, come on. It's a show for little kids.
It is a show for little kids. And the thing that's funny is I totally expected to hate it. I was like, this show's really weird and stupid. But kind of like, Harry Potter, it's obviously for kids, but adults kind of like it because there's things in it that are enjoyable. I watched it actually for a patient, and we made a deal that he would exercise, and if I watched this show, I'm like, fine, I'll watch this bull crap for you, and I did, and it was really pretty good. And I realized that there are things that adults would like it, and that's kind of how I got into it. Does that make sense?
Well, I don't know, man. That's just weird.
No, I totally get that it's weird.
I don't know if I can be okay with that.
That's okay. The fact that you're saying that that's weird, I totally get, totally understand that. But right now, I'm going to break character for a second. How do you think that I'm reacting to you? Do I feel aggressive? Do I feel friendly? Do I feel different?
Well, you seem like you don't seem aggressive because it seems like you don't even really necessarily feel attacked. I don't
feel attacked.
You seem like you're earnestly trying to explain to me why my stance may be incorrect.
Do you feel like I'm treating you like a friend or an enemy right now?
A friend. Definitely a friend.
That's the really important part of this whole thing, is that even though you treated me like an enemy right off the bat, if I responded to you like an enemy, like the first time, it escalates the situation. But what we really have here is an opportunity to get to know another human being. So you attacked me and I responded to you as a friend, and the look on your face was priceless. You were confused for a second, like, I don't know how to respond to this guy. And so it's kind of disarming.
So if I'm feeling like a victim that day, how would this affect me as the victim? Because you said that bullies feel like the victim much of the time. So if I'm feeling like the victim, I feel like I am going to lash out at someone, and now suddenly someone's being nice to me, which is
all they really wanted in the first place for the most part.
I would think so. If I'm feeling victimized, then I should feel good about that, I would think.
Right. And even though you, in this interaction, you left it saying, well, I don't know how I feel. That's actually progress. That's not the same thing as I hate you because you watch the show. I'm not sure, I'm uncertain. So you've already, in the first 2 sentences, moved from I hate you and I want to fight you to I don't know about you. Maybe I'll give you a chance and we'll talk this out. And I could still screw that up, but now I have an opportunity to treat you as a friend, which is completely different. Does that make sense?
I don't know about that, man. That's something that I hear people say when they think that something is weird. What I hear people, and this is adults, because
because we're adults.
Yeah, so we're talking as adults, and I interact with adults, and they say stuff like yeah, I don't know about that. I just don't know about that. And that's basically
they're expressing disapproval.
Yeah,
and that's okay because they don't have to like whatever the same thing that you like. But at that point, they're saying, I don't know, it's not for me. They're not immediately aggressively attacking you for it. And again, over time, that's progress. And that's how really people from different groups begin to understand each other, whether it's race, whether it's religion, whether it's politics, whether it's freaking cartoon ponies. Being able to see things from someone else's point of view, even a little bit, begins to break down those walls and allow us to think of other people as people. That make sense?
That makes sense to me. I feel disarmed. I feel...
Interestingly enough, like the second time, I didn't stand up for myself in the same way, obviously. I didn't attack you. Did you feel like I was more mature, less mature? How did you feel about me in that interaction?
Well, definitely more mature. I mean, partially because you mentioned your wife. I suppose that makes you sound like an adult.
Yes, hopefully.
Does bullying of this type happen to adults very often, like adult bronies? I mean, we're talking about the types of bullying that would happen, like in a high school, right?
I think that it does, and it happens in different kind of ways. That's typically kind of a high school bullying, but also, you may experience bullying at work. It may not just be for being a brony. It may be for having an ear pierce, or a larger beard than the boss would like, or you may be interested in somebody else's football team that the other person doesn't like.
Sure.
So there's a lot of kind of bullying that as we get older, the bullying becomes less about I'm going to punch you in the face and more about I'm going to stab you in the back.
Right, and just making the other feel lesser.
Yeah, and this again is a way of if they're trying to treat you like an enemy and fight with you, but if you treat them like a friend, no matter whether they hurt you at the beginning, it does disarm them. They're like, it's harder to fight back. When somebody's not fight back, but to fight you when somebody is reaching their hand out to you.
And I'm always amazed at when you are feeling bad in the course of a day. Maybe you're having a really bad day. If someone does, and maybe you do lash out at somebody, which you may not have wanted to do, but occasionally people that don't normally lash out will lash out. Maybe not with bullying, but with something. Maybe they'll be snappy. But then if somebody sort of holds their hand out and offers you a bit of respect as a human being and kindness, it really can turn your day around.
Oh, absolutely. Might make you even smile a little bit.
Probably not. It's not.
Dobro doesn't smile, ever.
No.
It's very much like Maud Pie.
Well, you want to do number 2?
Yeah, let's do that. We may cut this one for time if we need to. If not, we'll keep going.
All right. You watch My Little Pony because you're really a girl, aren't you?
Kind of obviously not a girl. I think, I've been a guy for 37 years, so it's been a long time. No, it's actually not a girl. And I'm curious as to, would that be a problem if I were?
Well, little girls watch the show, so you're clearly a girl because that's who watches the show.
Yeah, that makes logical sense. The show is actually marketed to little girls. Totally get that. But do you like Pixar movies?
Well, I mean, when I was a kid.
When you're a kid, but they're still good, right?
They're still good.
They're still good.
They're still good.
Yeah, there are things that you take from your childhood that you really enjoy that you take with you as an adult. And you can be able to enjoy this as an adult or as a male and not see them in the same way that a little girl would. They're totally different things. So at this particular case, no, obviously I'm not a little girl, but I do like the show.
And number 3, I bet you watch My Little Pony because you're into little kids, you pervert.
No, actually, I'm not into little kids if you're implying sexually. I can get how you would see that because it's a show for kids, and obviously people do think about the whole pedophilia angle. It would probably surprise you to know that one of the things I used to do is I used to run the adult sex offender group for a hospital. Did that for 5 years. And the interesting thing is the guys in that group who were actual sex offenders interested in kids and adults of all kinds of persuasions that are not legal or healthy, I didn't actually know any bronies in that group at all. Actually, the most popular show that they watched was football, which obviously people who watch football are not pedophiles. It just happens to be completely unrelated to who they are as people. So I can see how you would see that. It's just not me. Not anybody that I know, really.
I think this number 3 is probably a pretty common misconception about the brony community. I think a lot of people think if you're into stuff that would be marketed to kids that you would...
It is, and they think that just because something is marketed to kids doesn't mean it's necessarily for kids, like somehow kids own it. Baseball really is a kid's game. Basketball is a kid's game. Football. Certain kinds of music, really kind of pop music, is sort of meant for the childlike ear, and yet adults still can enjoy it and get things out of it. So really, it's not like kids have any kind of ownership on entertainment as long as it's good and healthy and wholesome. So people really of all kinds can enjoy it. I think the problem comes in when people don't know about the community. So actually, again, you have an opportunity there to not only educate them about the community, but also about yourself. And as we talked about earlier, if people like you as a person, they're going to be more likely to give you and thus the brony community a chance to put your best foot forward. So it's an opportunity to come together with people and really connect with them. And leave them maybe as a friend versus an enemy.
That's always a good thing.
It is a good thing. So thank you very much, Dobro. I appreciate you being willing to come into my house studio.
Thank you for letting me come into your house studio thing.
Awesome. So thank you all, and please join us for the next podcast. We will talk about the do's and don'ts of presenting the brony fandom in a positive light. Thanks, and we'll catch you next time.